A chilly night in downtown Pittsburgh. The skies are clear, so no more of the rain that we had here last night. Reds trying to get their first road win here in 2018 after dropping the first two games of this four-game series. We're at PNC Park, Reds and the Pirates. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds baseball. Sal Romano got the nod on Easter Sunday against the Washington Nationals. Threw the ball very well, and if he can pitch like he did that day, the Reds might get that first win.
Well, you know, he had a tough inning, Tom. The very beginning of the game, anyway, was a tough inning for him when he gave up a 3-run home run, but he came back after that, and he learned, I think, when he backed off just a little bit, he was able to control the ball better. He said all game long he didn't have much of a breaking ball, so he just moved his fastball around. But that is the key to learning how to pitch, commanding that fastball.
Well, trying to slow down this Pirates offense. In the first two games of this series, they've scored 19 runs to go along with 24 hits. And when the guys at the top are setting the table, check out some of these numbers.
Well, the numbers right now are immense for the Pirates because they're really hot. Now, I can't tell you how long this team is going to stay hot or where they're going to be at the top of the National League in offense at the end of the year. But right now, they're swinging the bats very well. Gregory Polanco is not in the game tonight. Adam Fraser is in there instead. Polanco bounced the ball off of his foot, and he's going to take the night off. But these guys are still hot. You can add into Colin Moran, who last night got 4 hits. This is the ball club that is swinging the bats up and down the lineup.
Going to be the first start of the year for Phillip Ervin. He had a hit, drove in a run in the game here last night, and finally getting his first nod of the season.
You know, sometimes when your team isn't going very well and you don't seem to have any moxie, it's just good to get a little jolt. And maybe Ervin is the kind of guy that can give this ball club a jolt. He's got some speed, he's got some power, he plays hard, he's a young guy, so he brings that energy, and maybe this is something that'll get this ball club going a little bit.
All right, when we come back, we'll check in with our main man down along the Reds dugout, Jim Day. Are the Reds ready for a win here in Pittsburgh? You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Winning lineup only at your Tri-State Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. Reds looking for any spark they can get, and they hope it comes from the top of the lineup tonight in the form of lefty Jesse Winker. Let's check out our our Elk and Elk storyline. Jesse Winker hitting leadoff this season, 4 games, 5 for 14, a .357 average. He's drawn 4 walks, and the on-base percentage sitting at a cool .500. Reds looking for a victory here in Pittsburgh. He will lead off. What's the rest of the lineup look like? We'll go upstairs to the guys that will call it in a warm and toasty booth. Tom Brenneman, Chris Welch.
All righty, Jim Day, thank you very much. Let's take a look at the Reds starting lineup presented by Nissan. You mentioned Winker at the top, followed by Suarez and Votto. Gennett in the cleanup spot, Duvall in left, and Irvin his first start of the year. Barnard behind the plate, Peraza at short, Sal Romano on the mound. Starting it for the Pirates, his first full year he spent in the big leagues last year, made 31 starts. 25-year-old right-hander Chad Kuhl.
Maybe getting more and more excited about Chad Kuhl because he's been able to increase his velocity from a modest 93 miles an hour up to about 95 or 96 last year. The one good thing that jumped out also for him was he did not walk anybody his last time out, even though he had runners on the bases a lot, gave up 4 runs in that final game of a sweeping series against the Detroit Tigers. Kuhl mainly keeps the ball down. Slider, curveball, and changeup, but mainly down around the knees with a fastball.
Take a look at the Pirates defensively behind Kuhl here tonight, and basically the same group we've seen with the exception of right field and behind the plate. Chris mentioned it. In a game last night, Polanco fouled a ball off his foot, so Adam Fraser starts for him out in right field with the same infield we saw here last night. And Diaz behind the plate in place of Francisco Cervelli. Winker, the 3 hits last night, 2 of them of the infield variety. Hit a ball in the hole at short that was scored an infield hit, had a bouncing ball off the glove of the first baseman Bell that was scored a hit. There's strike 1, and we're underway here on this Saturday night. Bigger crowd than we've had the last couple of days. They announced just barely over 11,000 last night. They have fireworks tonight. Perfect night for that, with the clear skies above. Fouled out of play and quickly 0-2 on Winker. Begin this one officially, they say, at 36 degrees. It's expected to get even colder throughout the game, and really cold tomorrow morning. In fact, they think the first pitch of the game, an afternoon game tomorrow, will be colder than it is the final pitch of the game tonight.
Well, it turned out pretty good after all here in Pittsburgh. When I got up this morning and looked out the window, Tom, the entire field at PNC Park was covered with snow.
Winker having to hit the deck, went down hard on both of his knees, and I guess that pitch hit him. Yep.
Yes, it did.
Saw Winker today in the elevator of the hotel, and he said last night playing was as brutal as he's played anywhere, even coming up through the minor leagues with that rain. That we started playing in the rain last night, and it got harder and harder at times as the game went on. And he's still limping around on that left foot out there at first base.
Coming from a guy from Orlando, obviously has not played high school baseball up here in the Midwest. That's when it's brutal. You have a bench, not a dugout, nowhere to hide. Fields are sloppy.
Suarez drives one hard into right field, but tough luck for him. Right into the glove of the right fielder Adam Fraser. Hard hit ball for Eugenio, but allowed out. Joey Votto 5 for his first 23. Joey had 3 hits in the game, 2 hits in the game last night, knocked in his first run of the season. Reds got 3 hits in that third spot in the batting order because Irvin hit in Votto's spot in the 9th inning and knocked in a run with a single.
Well, he looked so much better last night, Votto did, at the plate than he did against the left-hander Brault the night before.
Crew chief is a home plate umpire tonight. That's Jerry Lane. Greg Gibson down at first. Vic Carapazza is at second base. Jordan Baker, the umpire, at third. Boy, Baker got an earful from both teams last night, calling the balls and strikes. Joey, the tip of the cap to the veteran umpire calling the balls and strikes tonight. Sharp breaking ball in there, a strike. That was a big weapon that Cool started to use after roughly around his first dozen starts last year to left-handed batters who were just killing him the early part of last season. But that breaking ball got better and better, and so did a lot of his numbers. Chris mentioned earlier the velocity went up, the strikeouts per 9 innings went up, so too did the walks per 9 innings. Into left field, and that'll be a base hit for Votto. Winker making the turn. He'll slam on the brakes. So the Reds have 2 on here in the opening inning with only 1 out, and Scooter Gennett coming up.
You know, if there's anything that's more classic Joey Votto, I can't remember what it would be. You know, you get down in a count, 2 strikes, 1 ball, 2 strikes. They try to come with a fastball, basically a waste pitch. But it was close enough that Votto was going to put the meat of the bat on it, and he hits it right on the barrel into left field. There are not a lot of hitters that can do that with that pitch.
Scooter Gennett had a base hit in each of the first 5 Reds games of the season. Last night went 0 for 5. Reds had a number of scoring chances early in last night's game, and it was still tight. Pirates took a 2-0 lead. Reds answered, scoring a couple of runs, but they left 2 on in the 3rd. They left them loaded in the 4th. They left 2 on in the 6th. And by the time the Pirates came to bat in the bottom of the 6th, they scored 6 and blew it wide open, eventually winning 14-3. Reds only 3 runs and had 12 hits. 2-0. The Reds have not scored a run in the opening inning in a game so far this season. In fact, in the first 3 innings of games this year, all the games combined, they have scored a total of 3 runs.
Pretty nice location there on a 2-0 pitch. 95 on the knees on the black.
Three balls and a strike on Gennett. Reds dream trying to get going offensively. You know, last year they did score enough runs to win a lot more games than they did. They were 6th in home runs, 5th in walks, 8th in total runs scored. 3-2 on Scooter, but so quiet this year.
Yeah, but scoring the runs wasn't the problem last year. That's why everybody came into 2018 thinking that this lineup's not going to have any problem scoring runs. You know, they lost Zach Kozar at shortstop, but everybody else is pretty much intact. The problem last year, of course, was the pitching staff gave up so many that I don't know what offense they needed to be able to stay in ball games.
Gennett gone swinging, and that's the first strikeout for Cool, and it's the second out here in the Reds' first.
He must have a little extra hump on that fastball, Chad Cool, because Gennett is a very good fastball hitter, and he's looking fastball on a 2-0 count. Got one, didn't swing. Got one on 3-1, swung and was overpowered by it, and was late on the 3-2 pitch. So usually when you think you're on it, and it looked like he thought he was right on it, if you're not, it's because the pitcher's a little bit sneaky.
All right, if the Reds are to score for the first time in the first inning this year, that rests on the shoulders of Adam Duvall. Ball one, a breaking ball outside. Adam has 3 hits and 20 at bats. He does have 2 home runs, by far a team high 6 runs batted in. Adam 0 for 3, also drew a walk here in the game last night. Wound up finishing the game playing a little first base. He came in from left field, plays first. Votto was taken out. Phillip Urban came into the game to finish it up in the outfield. Trying to do damage on a 2-0 pitch with 2 on and 2 out. And he takes a fastball right down the middle of strike. Since joining the Reds in that deal for Mike Leake from San Francisco, Duvall has been a run producer. Better than 200 runs batted in combined over the last 2 seasons. Got beat on a fastball to even the count. Not that it probably means much of anything, but Cool had a brutal spring training. I mean, he had games where he gave up 3 in a couple of innings, 8 in a couple of innings, 3, 4 in 2/3 of an inning. And then just so-so his first start of this year, 4 runs over 5 2/3. But that's all she wrote for the Reds in the first inning. As Cool fans Gennett and Duvall with 2 on and 1 out. Sal Romano gets the ball when we return. W is right. Reds needing it in the worst sort of way. Pirates lineup brought to you by Nissan. Cincinnati native Josh Harrison to be followed by Adam Fraser and Starling Marte. Bell, Dickerson, Diaz in the middle. Ran a big night, 4-hit game last night. Jordy Mercer and Cool on the mound. Sal Romano, his second start of this year.
Well, his first start was against the Washington Nationals and Steven Strasburg, and he threw the ball well overall. 6 innings of 3-run baseball, but inside that game, you know, it was almost like 2 different games. He had a very bad first inning. You see where he threw 34 pitches, gave up a couple of hits and a couple of runs. The next 5, he really settled down. What he did do, however, in that game was walk 4. And that was the, I guess, the learning curve for Sal last year. He walked probably too many 37 batters in 87 innings last year, and that's one area where he's probably trying to tidy up a whole lot, which is throwing the ball over the plate more.
In that Easter Sunday late afternoon start, he allowed a single to the first batter, then gave up a 2-run home run to Rendon. He would only allow one more hit until his final inning, and that was a solo home run by Bryce Harper. So all 3 runs came via the long ball. Votto, for a big, strong guy who throws hard, has never been a big strikeout pitcher. Last year in 87 innings, he fanned just 73. His first start this year in those 6 innings, 2 strikeouts. Harrison already 11 hits in this young season in 32 at-bats. Short right to the grass and foul ground goes Votto, and that's the first out in the Pirates' first inning. Take a look at the Reds on defense, presented by Ford. Mentioned Irvin, his first start of the year, flanked by Duvall and Winker. Same infield we've seen every game with the exception of the game against Chicago on Monday. And Tucker Barnard back in there. He had a night off last night after starting the first game here on Thursday. Adam Fraser, 4 for his first 13, replaces Gregory Polanco. Drives this ball hard to center, but it'll be out number 2.
Well, you'll take that first pitch swinging all day long if you're Sal Romano, who's had a history of having some problems in the first inning. And one way you get around that is you throw some early strikes and have the opposition be very aggressive. The Pirates are normally very aggressive.
Number of day games around baseball naturally in the month of April. I think a lot of us were surprised that this game on this Saturday in April in Pittsburgh was not a day game. Cardinals beat Zach Greinke in Arizona 5-3. The Mets over the Nationals again, 3-2 the final there. And a number of games over in the American League we'll talk about later on. 2 down, nobody on, and Marte waves through it, a ball and a strike.
Looks like Tucker Barnhart's trying to get Sal to throw all of his pitches here in this first inning. Trying to get a feel of what's going to work for him tonight.
Good pitch there.
Sometimes it's hard to chart Romano because his slider goes straight down. It looks a lot like a changeup.
Coming back, breaking ball here.
It was kind of interesting because Barnhart first wanted a fastball and Romano shook him off. So he said, okay, I'll put down a curve, but you've got to promise to keep it down. And you saw him motion with his glove and hands to keep it down. Last thing you want to do is go with that pitch. This is probably the 3rd pitch for Romano and make a mistake on it here in the first inning.
Tried it once, he'll try it again. And it's blasted into center field. A 2-out single for Starling Marte. Coming up, the 25-year-old native of Irving, Texas, Josh Bell. 2 years ago as a Pirates minor league player of the year, and then last year set a National League record for most home runs by a switch-hitting rookie. In fact, he was only 1 short of the all-time major league record held by Eddie Murray and Tony Clark. Finished 3rd in the National League's Rookie of the Year balloting. Jason Bay hitting 26 home runs as a Pirate rookie in 04, and Bell tying that record last year. course, Jason Bay was a right-handed hitter. We mentioned Bell as a switch hitter. Cody Bellinger of the Dodgers was a National League Rookie of the Year. Paul DeYoung of the Cardinals was the runner-up. Then Bell. Started to pull the trigger and took the pitch off the outside corner. 2 balls and a strike.
This is what really has separated Josh Bell from a lot of other younger players coming up from the minor leagues. It's just his stage presence in the batter's box and his idea about the strike zone. A lot of people say the same type of thing about Jesse Winker, but he has always been an average, an above average hitter for an average standpoint, and he gets on base with a pretty good eye.
Saw that a couple of pitches in a row last night by Francisco Cervelli. Three balls, 2 strikes. A runner gets started over at first, and here it comes, and it's hit right through the shift. That's a routine ground ball to short without it. They're on the corners with 2 away here in the Pirates' opening inning.
Well, he's waiting a long time. Bell is just making sure that he puts a bat on the ball here with a full count. And he ends up getting the barrel on that ball and sending it right through the shortstop hole. You know, the shift happens so much that it's hardly even worth remarking that the defensive team is playing a shift. I mean, I'm not even sure if it's should be called a shift anymore. Maybe more of a conventional defense would be the shift nowadays.
Situational hitting was the difference certainly in last night's game, and that was long before the 6-run 6th inning blew it open. Strike 1, a swing and a miss by Dickerson, who's been right in the middle of the 19 runs and the 24 hits the Pirates have in the first 2 games of this series. He had a triple, a double, knocked in a run, scored a run on Thursday night, and then had 3 hits, was hit by a pitch, and drove in 2 here last night, scoring twice. Scoreless game, 1st and 3rd, 2 outs. And the situational hitting continues for the Buccos. Marte will score. They're going to wave around Bell. Here comes a throw to the plate. Gets by Barnard. And on to 3rd goes Dickerson with a 2-run double. And the Pirates take a 2-0 lead.
Twice in this inning now, Romano has gone back-to-back curveballs, and on the second one has given up a hard hit ball. The first one came to Starling Marte. This is the second curveball in a row after Dickerson just saw one. Hangs it up a little bit, and he rifles it down the right field line. I've always been of the opinion, Tom, that when you throw a really good pitch, especially on a breaking ball, your chances of improving on that pitch are almost nil. So why don't you go to something different? So you take the batter, mess up his timing and maybe his eye level a little bit.
3 straight 2-out hits for the Pirates here in the first inning against Romano. And now it's Diaz, the catcher, and he takes low and inside for a ball. Short. Whoa. Nice play by Suarez, picking it up with a bare hand. That's rolling the dice a little bit, but he executes the play. A 2-run opening inning for Pittsburgh and a 2-0 advantage at the end of 1. Take a look. The Pirates and the New York Mets each at 6-1. Best start for the Bucs since 1976. Best for the Mets since 2006. Arizona at 6-2, losing for the second time earlier today in St. Louis. And the Atlanta Braves, each of the last 2 years, starting 0-7 and 1-6. They are knocking the cover off the ball to begin this year. The Pirates rank second in virtually every offensive category there is. And they rank second to the Atlanta Braves. Braves will be playing later tonight out in Colorado. It's interesting to know, you look at so many of the colder weather cities that played earlier. St. Louis, Washington, even Philadelphia. But a night game here in Pittsburgh, and by and large the coldest weather city in the National League over the course of the entire season is in Colorado, out in Denver. And they're not starting until it's nearly nighttime. Father and son hanging at the ball game tonight, brought his mitt. He's ready to roll.
That's a good look.
Very good look. 1-2 on Phillip Ervin. Reds falling behind yet again. That has been the MO so far in this 2018 season. They've still not scored a run in the first inning. And 2 on with 1 out in the opening frame here tonight. And of the 18 runs they have scored this year, 10 of the 18 have come in innings 8 and 9. And both of those games, they were a long ways from getting into the lead. Ervin chases a ball and pops it up to Bell. 1 gone.
know, you never really know when a young pitcher is going to start coming out of his shell and really maturing. Some guys get it earlier than others. Some are late bloomers. And Cool, you may say, is a late bloomer. The Pirates picked him up in the 9th round out of the University of Delaware, a program really not known for producing a lot of major league players. And when he did, he was never really a strikeout pitcher. Even when he was pitching in college, he never even got close to 1 strikeout per inning. The closest he has come as far as his strikeouts per 9 innings, the best rank he's had in his entire career was last year in the major leagues. So go figure. Tom, you mentioned about the increase in velocity. And that's the one thing that's gotten them real excited around here, but it has also come along with that increase in walks. Reds will see another young pitcher tomorrow. Cool's 25, and we'll see Jamison Taillon tomorrow too. In fact, both these ball clubs seem to be running out their youth rotation against each other in this series.
Tucker Barnard with a count of 3 balls and a strike. Tucker has 4 hits in his first 12 at bats. Devin Mesoraco got his 2nd start of this young season here last night, and Barnhart back in there tonight. Ball 4, he'll take the 1-out walk. So here we are through 7 batters in this game. And Cool, who did not walk a batter in his first start against the Tigers, has walked a batter and hit a batter. Now Jose Peraza. Peraza had a pair of swinging bunt infield hits here in the game last night. And in fact, he did not have a hit coming into this series. He has 3 infield hits over the last 2 games in it.
You know, when Jose Peraza is hitting the ball better, he seems to have a better foundation under him. His core is stronger. That last pitch is a good example of what happens when your head drifts towards the plate. You get out over your belt buckle even more, and you lose all your power. So even if you made contact with the sweet part of the bat there, the ball's not going anywhere.
Broken bat down to third should be an easy double play, and that's the way things will end for the Reds here in the 2nd inning. We played 1.5 at PNC Park, and the home team leads by 2.
country of Canada mourning a terrible tragedy that happened yesterday. It was a junior hockey team from the Saskatchewan province. The Humboldt Broncos Junior Hockey League team's bus collided with a tractor trailer, leaving 15 dead and 14 injured. And Joey Votto, on his spikes tonight, wrote the Humboldt Broncos in memory of those lost. Just a terrible tragedy yesterday in Canada.
Boy, no kidding about that, Jim. Thoughts and prayers to all those. And so many of you at home, I mean, you have kids that play travel team sports, whatever they may be, baseball, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, whatever it is. Our hats certainly go out to him. Colin Moran, who came over in the deal for Garrett Cole from the Houston Astros, had the best game of his very, very young major league career here last night. 4 hits, drove in 3 runs, scored 3 runs. 7, 8, 9 for the Pirates here in the second inning against Sal Romano. They had a 2-out rally to score twice in the first. Singles by Marte and Bell, then a 2-run double by Dickerson. 3-1. First walk given up by Sal in the game tonight. Comes to leadoff man here in the Pirates' second.
Well, you see where he's missing is just right down off the plate a little bit. He comes from a very high arm angle, Romano does, and that's why he's got such a vicious sinking fastball. But he's got to find that release point now to get it in the strike zone.
Longtime Pirate shortstop Jordy Mercer digging in. 555 games he has played in short just over the last 4+ seasons. Only Brandon Crawford of the Giants has played in more games at that position among all National League shortstops. Had 3 hits, 2 doubles here in the game last night, and overall 5 hits in his last 9 trips to the plate. We talked so much about the top of the batting order before the game today, but you just look at the 7 and 8 spots in the Pirate lineup last night. Moran had 4 hits. Told you Mercer had 3 hits. Scored 5 runs and knocked in 4 from just those 2 positions at the bottom of the Pirate batting order. Brought up last night, Moran really not much of a threat to steal. Only had 6 stolen bases during his entire minor league career. Very short lead over there. Count now 2-2 on Mercer.
You know, we discussed for the pregame show, we visited with Jeff Brantley and talked about what some of the strategies that players do, especially pitchers in cold weather. One thing we both came up with and agree with 100% is that on a day like this is when you want to pitch inside. I mean, come right into the kitchen. And I'm a little surprised we haven't seen Romano do that more. I mean, elevate it a little bit and come right underneath the elbows.
Setting up away here on 2-2. And the breaking ball is fouled off to hang around.
I mean, it's really hard to be intimidating at the major league level, but Romano has a chance. He's, what, 6'5", 270 pounds. I mean, is somebody going to charge a mound on him? Not likely.
Not likely.
He can be a big guy with just a little bit of control problem from now and again,
and you come on inside, you buy yourself that outside corner by doing so.
Base hit into left field, and the Pirates now starting to make noise for a second straight inning. And the pitcher coming up, clearly up there to try and advance the runners with a bunt.
Now they got this pitch up a little bit. I think they wanted it down and in, and it was on the inner part of the plate. But when I say come inside, it doesn't always have to be for a strike. So with not a bunch of real speed on the base pass, you wonder if the Reds will play ultra aggressive right here, try to nab that runner at third base with the force play. That means Romano's got to get to the third base line.
Perfectly laid out there by the pitcher, Cool. And they don't even get the out at first base as Romano's throw is in the dirt. So they are loaded. That'll be a sacrifice and a throwing error on Sal Romano.
You know, you have an internal clock in your head on a play like this when you're a pitcher, and you're kind of counting silently how much time do I have, and he had plenty of time with the pitcher running. Did not need to rush the throw, could have set his feet a little bit better. Nearly picked by Gennett, but not able to hold on.
So they're loaded with nobody out, and now Romano needs to really get down to business here to prevent the Pirates from kicking the door in the second inning. Harrison first pitch swinging, drops it foul and out of play for strike one.
You know, it's kind of comical, really, Tom, when you think about the hours that pitchers spend in spring training on PFP. Pitchers fielding practice. I mean, Romano must have done that same play 100 times in Goodyear just this year alone. And then you get it the first time in the game and it doesn't work for you.
It's the old adage, the age-old question, what time is it? It's one thing to do it at 8:30 in the morning when it's 75 degrees in Arizona. The big league game started at 7:10. Fly ball to left field. That'll drive in a run to make it 3-0 and advancing second to third. And you got to wonder, where is that throw going from left field? I mean, there is no chance to throw that runner out at home plate as deep as that ball was hit. And you had a runner tagging going second to third when he saw it airmail the cutoff man.
I thought he may be going to second base with that to keep the runner from first to go to second. We'll take another look. Duvall gets it very deep out there, almost to the warning track. He sets his feet, and I think he's throwing in towards second.
Oh, I got you. My bad. Okay, I stand corrected. Saw Gennett coming over to the third base side, and so my fault. I beg your pardon, Adam Duvall. But is it fair to still ask the question why the throw would not go to third? I know you keep the double play in order by not allowing the runner to go from first to second base.
I think that's the biggest thing, because you may not have a chance to get the runner going to third. It's a little longer throw.
Yep.
And your odds are much better in trying to make sure that the trail runner, especially since he's the pitcher, is not going to get the second base, so you keep the double play in order.
Well, let's see if they can pick up that double play. Adam Fraser hit the ball to straightaway center field his first time up. Three 0 Buccos. We are in the second inning at PNC Park. A leadoff walk has come around to score. Very short center. Irvin coming hard, and he cannot get there. That is a base hit. And that's a run batted in on the pop-up bloop single off the bat of Fraser. Yeah, that ball was barely, maybe what, 20 feet into the outfield grass. Irvin came a long, long way. See where this thing ends up.
You know, I think it was just perfectly placed.
Yep.
Bad break for the Reds and Romano for sure.
Swing and a miss by Marte, who started the 2-out rally with a single and then later scored in the 2-run first inning. This inning started with a walk, a single, an error by the pitcher, a sac fly, and now a bloop single. 4 runs, 5 hits for the Pirates, and they still have 2 on with only 1 out. There's one, and they can't turn the double play. Marte runs very, very well and legs out the relay throw to keep the inning alive for Bell.
Looked like Taylor made DP lane all the way right here. Maybe just not hit hard enough. Good clean turn by Gennett. Good feed by Peraza, but as you said, Marte can boot scoot it down the line.
Seventh man to bat in his 2-run Pirates second inning is Bell. He singled sharply into left field his first time up. Bell, along with Marte, scoring on the first inning 2-out 2-run double by Corey Dickerson. Center field, Duvall calling off Peraza, and the inning is over. The Pirates 2 in the first, 2 in the second, and at the end of 2, lead 4-0.
TV game of the day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcast, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today. Pirates catcher Elias Diaz, I'm sure still reeling from a very traumatic experience as he was set to leave for spring training. As he said, his mother, Ana Soto, 72 years of age, was outside of her home in Venezuela when a group of men, including a few police officers, kidnapped her. And they were seeking money in exchange for her safe return. It's an ordeal that lasted 3 days, 3 very long days. But luckily, on that 3rd day, she was rescued and safely returned. He said that he's never felt that caliber of joy when he learned of the news of her returning safely. And unfortunately, kidnappings of famous people from Venezuela, their relatives, is becoming very common in a country filled with turmoil. And many Venezuelan major leaguers have been forced to hire security personnel to keep their families safe. He says as soon as he can, he's going to get his immediate family out of Venezuela.
Well, there have been people trying to get out of Venezuela forever. I mean, you're not trying to get overly political here, but it is a brutal dictatorship, communist country. And it's been in bad shape for a long, long time. And we know a lot of very good people who are from there. Davey Concepcion still makes his home down there.
Well, there's several current Reds players who are from down there. Eugenio Suarez, Jose Peraza, Tomas Vera, the trainer and translator in the dugout. I mean, they're all the time on their phone when they can, you know, FaceTiming with their relatives and friends back home, and basically worried every minute of the day.
The violence is just extraordinary. And I understand, I've never been down there. I understand it's an absolutely beautiful country.
I played 1 year winter ball down there. Well, it was nowhere near the political situation it is now. Beautiful country, great people, and boy, do they love their baseball.
Hugo Chavez, of course, ran the country basically into the ground, and you read about the shortages they have had there and all kinds of products. People just unable to get meat, milk, you name it. Two balls and no strikes to Jesse Winker. The Reds are batting here in the 3rd inning, trailing 4-0. 2 runs in the Pirate first, all coming about after the first 2 were retired in the inning. And then sloppy play on the mound by Romano, unable to get an out. And a little pop fly into short center just beyond the reach of Phillip Ervin brought in a run. Winker hit by a pitch his first time up, and now he gets on base once again. Winker has walked now 6 times so far this year, and he's also been hit by a pitch. That on base percentage continues to climb for Jesse Winker. Thanks to our friends at Miller Lite, the whole true moment will come your way later on tonight, so we invite you to stick around. Two walks, a hit batter, and 3 strikeouts. 1 hit allowed so far tonight by the right-hander Chad Kuhl. The Reds' only hit was Votto's 2-out single in the first inning. Once again, though, the Reds had a scoring chance right from the get-go. They had 2-1 in the first inning last night. Couldn't score. At first and second with 1 out in the first inning tonight, and could not score as Kuhl, Fan, Gennett, and Duvall consecutively to end the inning. Looped into shallow right field. Fraser won't get it. It rolls by him. Winker on his way to third. Suarez on his way to second. They're going to hold Winker. And the Reds have him at second and third, and yet another scoring chance.
Well, Suarez went that way his first time up, and Fraser was able to come in and make a nice running catch on a sinking line drive. This time, a little bit more of a blooper, a little bit more towards the right field line. And when Fraser decides he's going to come after it, he also decides he's not going to leave his feet and dive. So you really, what you ought to do is circle up the ball and make sure it doesn't get past you, or take a dive at it. But when you get caught in between, you end up not getting the ball, and the ball goes all the way to the wall.
Well, the Reds have their main man at the plate in this situation. Joey Votto, second and third, trailing by 4 here in the third. Started 2 on a breaking ball and laid off ball 1.
I would imagine that this would be a good old-fashioned pitch around right here. I don't see any reason why the Pirates, they've got a 4-run lead, yes, but why they would come hard after Joey Votto.
Hard to believe Clint Hurdle now in his 8th season as manager of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Took him to the playoffs 3 years in a row. That first year they made the playoffs was their first winning season in 20 years. Of course, one of those one-game playoffs, they beat the Reds in 2013. Fox track says that was in the upper part of the strike zone. The home plate umpire Jerry Lane says ball 2. And now ball 3. So we just go ahead, you would imagine, and just give Votto the intentional pass. Apparently not. And we know that Votto, if he likes it, he will take a big rip 3-0. And he does rip it 3-0. Line drive right at the right fielder. Here comes Winker to the plate, and he is safe at the plate. Votto hit that ball right on the screws. It turns into a sac fly, and the Reds are on the board. It's a 4-1 game.
You know, Votto has had a history of really liking that 3-0 pitch, and when he normally hits it, he hits it hard. And does it right here. Boy, Fraser makes a nice attempt to try to get Winker at the plate. Reds get on the board.
Suarez remains in scoring position. He's out at second base, and here is Scooter Gennett. Got ahead in the count 3-1 his first time up with 2 on and 1 out, and wound up striking out. Scooter's had a number of big chances here over the last 3 games to drive in runs. Obviously, he's hit the ball better than any other player on the team. He has a total of 9 base hits. But just the 1 run batted in. Last night's game, he had 2 on, 1 out, 2 separate occasions. And now he has a runner in scoring position and 2 outs here in the top of the 3rd inning tonight. Looked like a cross-up of some kind. I'm not sure Diaz thought that was going to be a breaking ball.
I think he feels like he's lucky it was a breaking ball and not a fastball looking breaking ball. Pretty good reaction time right there. That curveball was so good it fooled the hitter and the catcher.
And that's that breaking ball we were talking about that Cool started to use after roughly a dozen starts to left-handed batters last season. Boy, and he's thrown some good ones here tonight. Not sure that Diaz thought that one was so good, and this one gets by a fastball that will advance Suarez on to 3rd.
Yeah, I don't think it was a situation where he all of a sudden discovered it one bullpen session down there and said, gee, I'm going to start using this. I mean, it's something that he'd been using for a while, but left-handed hitters were pounding him so much, he just didn't have anything to get them out. because he doesn't really throw a true changeup that has a little fadeaway action. All pitching coaches will tell you, you want a pitch that goes in both directions, off speed, to both sides of the plate. So he doesn't have that changeup, so he started utilizing that curveball.
I want to ask you about something here in a second that I was thinking of, and it's not to pile on here in any way, shape, or form. Because there's a fly ball down the right field line over near the stands, and it is out of play. With runners at second and third on the Votto ball, maybe Peraza, or rather Suarez, a runner at second, was too far off the bag and couldn't get back to the bag at second to tag up, because you knew that throw was coming home. So, you know, maybe he just couldn't get there.
I don't think he could. In fact, I watched him. We've got the vantage point of seeing everything, and I watched him take a first step towards third when the ball was hit, because it looked like it was low enough to be a line drive base hit. When he realized it was going to be caught is when he went back to the bag, and by that time the throw was already coming into the infield.
3-2 the count on Gennett.
Yeah, the last two pitches really showed me something about Scooter Gennett. The last pitch was a pitch down in the strike zone, a fastball of 97. He struck out on two pitches that were down the zone his last time up. But the previous pitch to that was a fastball up, and he pulled it foul down the right field line. That tells me he is much quicker on pitches that are up in the zone than down in the zone.
That ball stung to straightaway center field, but back to get it in time is Marte. But the Reds get one, and they trail by 3.
And he says it's the darndest injury ever. He prides himself in being a tough guy. Got hit in the elbow with a pitch. Expected to be in the lineup the next day, but it's the ulnar nerve, and he has no pain in it. But when he bats, he has no feeling in his fingers whatsoever, and it feels like the bat is coming out of his hands. And he even said, I know fans are probably saying, hey, he just got hit in the elbow with a pitch. What's the big deal? But he said at this point he just cannot hit because he has no feeling in his fingers. And Chris Welsh, you talk about why players don't go up there with body armor up there, or at least a brace. He says he doesn't want this to happen again, so he'll start wearing a brace in batting practice and try to get used to it.
Good
Reds
idea.
certainly miss him, that's for sure. That ball driven into left field off the bat of Corey Dickerson. It's out number 1 here in the Pirates' third, leading 4-1.
You know, regarding that elbow brace, I always, every time I think of that, what comes into my mind is Barry Bonds. You know, wearing a big, huge piece of basically catcher's gear on his right arm, leaning out over the edge of the plate, and basically taking the inner third away from the pitcher. And it got so bad for Major League Baseball that after a while they required players to request to use those pieces of equipment. You just can't pick one out of the equipment bag and slap one on and go up there. I don't know if they've changed that rule or not, but they didn't want the whole league to start going up there looking like they're armed or, you know, have defensive armor on, like the Fox football guy.
I just don't understand why in the world there's a rule that if you just don't want to put it on, you can't walk up there and put it on.
Yeah.
To me, that's just absurd. It's about player safety at the end of the day.
And then they didn't want it to get to a point where guys are leaning in to get hit by pitches.
0-2 on Elias Diaz. He bounced out to the third baseman Suarez, ending the Pirates' 2-run first. 2 in the first, 2 in the second, and the Reds get a run in the third. So a 4-1 ball game. Pittsburgh in front, last of the third inning. 1 out and nobody on. Romano needs a clean inning. It's going to be a tough play here. This will be an infield hit. All right, while we have a second, let's check in, see what's going on around baseball. Voice of the UC Bearcats, Dan Horde. Of course, Dan also comes to Pittsburgh at least one time per year as the voice of the Cincinnati Bengals. So, Danny, thank you very much for that. I know Dan's all fired up about the Red Sox and how well they're playing. Strike one on Colin Moran. He drew a leadoff walk and scored the first of 2 1 inning ago. This game is starting to trend in the same direction as Luis Castillo last night from again, that set a strike from a straight pitch count for Sal Romano. Lined at the left fielder Duvall, and they're 2 away in the inning.
Shortstop, Jordy Mercer.
Mercer a single in the left field in the second inning and scored a run. 6 hits in his last 10 at-bats for Jordy Mercer. Cubbies rally late to beat Milwaukee 5-2. Well, let's hope the Philadelphia Phillies are getting all those runs out of them. They are in the 4th inning, and if that scoreboard is correct, the Philadelphia Phillies in the 4th inning have scored 17 runs. Is that possible?
Indeed it is.
I don't know if I've ever seen that number in the 4th inning of a game. It's rare to see that in a 9-inning game.
Well, the starter for the Marlins, Dylan Peters, went 2 2/3 and gave up 9. The reliever that came in the 3rd inning, Jacob Turner, pitched exactly 1 inning and gave up 8.
Phillies have already hit a pair of grand slams in that game. We will see them starting Monday night. Reds will go from the western part of Pennsylvania to the eastern part of the Keystone State after the game here tomorrow afternoon. Boy, dinking and dunking here in this inning. But Mercer now 7 hits in his last 11 at bats.
Well, he hasn't hit either of his base hits tonight very hard at all. In fact, he got jammed the first time and lofted the ball into left field. This time, a little inside-out jam shot. And he muscles it into right to pick up a base hit. So what that does is bring the pitcher to the plate here in the 3rd inning rather than have him lead off the top or the bottom of the 4th.
Cole put down the sacrifice with runners at 2nd and 3rd, or 1st and 2nd his first time up. It was a very good bunt. But Romano threw the ball in the dirt to first base. And coming over to make the catch there is Peraza. Scoreless inning for the first time tonight for Romano. His team down by 3.
We go back upstairs. The guys are having a fireside chat. Tom Bruno, Chris Wood.
Now, Jim, do you agree with Michael Lorenzen and with Devin Mesoraco? Is that your favorite all-time baseball movie?
No, my favorite all-time, you cannot beat the original Bad News Bears for me. That was number 1.
That was awesome.
For me. And
Walter Matthau.
Stands the test of time for me. Now, the original, not the remake.
No, I know. The original was Walter Matthau was a coach. Tatum O'Neal was a star pitcher.
Yep.
You had Kelly Leak.
Kelly Leak in center field.
Yep.
On the motorcycle.
Tearing it up.
Tanner Boyd.
Well, you loved him. Gamer. Total gamer. Didn't take anything from anybody else. He was the heart and soul of that team. All right, Reds down 4-1. They come to bat here in the 4th inning. It'll be 4, 5, and 6 in the batting order. Adam Duvall struck out looking his first time up, to be followed by Urban and Tucker Barnard. Breaking ball sweeps away from Duvall and tried to hold back on the swing. Went too far, and that's a 4th strikeout of the night for Chad Kuhl.
Well, Kuhl's fastball is firm enough that he's going to get away with some of these breaking balls because guys are going to have to make a decision early on whether they're going to swing or not. He gets a lot of power from his legs. If you watch his right leg as he kind of pushes off the pitching rubber, I mean, that's a real good push to get good extension. Also get something behind that fastball.
Urban first pitch swinging, a 2-hopper down to 3rd, and first 2 batters retired here in the Reds' 4th inning.
Take another look at the motion of Chad Kuhl. I mean, you know, he's 25 years old. He's only been around 1 year in the major leagues, but that is going to work for you. Look at that backside of his kind of coming all the way around there. Now, if you're a sinker ball pitcher, you don't necessarily want to drive off the back of the rubber like a guy who's a power pitcher. Kuhl likes to let that fastball go. That last one clocked at 96.
Tucker tried to catch up with it, could not. He walked his first time up.
Feeling pretty good right now, too, if you just watch his body language. Cool, that is. I think everybody in that Pirate dugout feels probably the same way. I mean, the way they took care of a sweep in Detroit to start the season. They come in here and win the first couple of games of this series. And they're walking around with their chest out about now.
Reds dominated the season series against this team a year ago. Reds won 13 of the 19 games, including a 6-3 record right here in Pittsburgh. 14 runs allowed by the Reds to the Pirates. First time that's happened, that many runs in a game, since 2007. Dodgers and the Giants at it after a rainout, a rare rainout in San Francisco yesterday. They're in the 7th inning of a 4-4 game. Dodgers got kicked around by the rival Diamondbacks before they rolled into San Francisco. And the inning is over. A 97-mile-per-hour fastball, again up in the zone. First perfect inning of the night for Kuhl. Beautiful looking downtown Pittsburgh. Just to the right over there, Market Square. It's over by the area close to where the Reds stay when they're here. Walk right across the Clemente Bridge. Pedestrian only at various times before the game and after the game. Short walk, very nice walk back to the hotel and into downtown Pittsburgh if you're staying in some of the other hotels, and there are many of them down there. Pirates in front, 4-1. Sal Romano facing the top of the order already for the third go-round. We're just in the fourth inning. Harrison, Fraser, Marte.
Where the Reds stay in Pittsburgh, Tom, is also a hotel that is frequented by different rock bands.
Sure.
The Columbus Blue Jackets stay here. I don't know where the Bengals stay when they come into town, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the same place. And in Pittsburgh tonight, the very popular entertainer Pink is in town and staying right in our hotel.
In fact, she was in the room next door to mine, and you really didn't notice anything until about yesterday afternoon. A lot of those rock and rollers will go every night, but her schedule, clearly she had not gone every night. She got in here, I'm guessing Thursday night, just based on the activity. And I mean to tell you, every time I opened the door, there were people bringing in groceries. There were massage therapists coming in, taking their tables in, taking it back out. Security people everywhere. She was staying in the presidential suite. And basically, that's 3 doors, the presidential suite. You can walk to the very end of the hall, dead end right into one door, and then there are 2 other doors. I asked one of the custodial ladies, I said, how big is that room? I said, do all 3 doors go to that room? She says, yeah, all 3 are a different bedroom as part of that presidential suite.
Well, if Pink is in the presidential suite and you're next door, you must be in the vice presidential suite.
I am definitely not. I'm not in the vice president. I'm not in the cabinet. I'm basically in the cabinet. That's about right. Peraza will throw out Adam Frazier. So now Romano is a batter away from his first 1-2-3 inning of the game. I never laid eyes on Pink, though. I didn't realize till we were actually getting on the team bus who it was that was staying in there and who it was that was playing in the concert tonight.
Now, if you happen to run into her tonight after the concert on the floor that you're on, would you address her as Pink, or would you say, hey, Alicia, how you doing?
Is that her real name, Alicia?
Alicia Beth.
Okay. I'm glad you told me that in case I do run into her. I would have, I don't know what I'd have called her. Miss Pink. There's a tapper down to third. And a 1-2-3 fourth for Romano. You said Alicia?
Alicia.
Alicia.
Beth four.
You get general admission seating Access to that exclusive rooftop patio, plus your first drink, is on us. For tickets, visit reds.com/district. That's a great spot. You can watch a ball game looking out one way and look back into downtown Cincinnati and up to Mount Adams the other. Bundled up. That has pretty much been the norm in baseball, almost coast to coast. Frigid temperatures virtually in every locale. Go around today: Washington, St. Louis, Philadelphia, Colorado, Boston, New York, Chicago earlier today, very cold, Cleveland, Minnesota. Reds will go there in 2 weekends from now. And there are some years where in Minneapolis, spring doesn't begin until the middle of June. That is a one ballpark, I think, when they open, and of course that's a relatively new ballpark. When they opened that ballpark without a dome, I think the entire world was in shock. Now that's a nice piece of hitting by Jose Peraza. That ball was hit hard.
It was. He stayed back, used his hands nicely, and took a pitch that was all going away from him the other way.
Yeah, I need to correct myself from what I said earlier about the coldest city in baseball. I said Denver, not even close. By far the coldest in Major League Baseball is Minneapolis. Toronto doesn't count because they play in a dome. Good bunt there by Romano, advancing the runner onto second base, one out in the inning.
Now, was that an official statistic that you looked at?
Oh, I know, but I would just, having been there many, many, many times through the years, that place is really cold. I lived in downtown Chicago for 6 years. Cold there, but it's not Minneapolis.
See, I would think that when Candlestick Park was in the league,
yeah, right,
that was the coldest place.
You know what? I bet you're right as far as average temperature goes.
Because all summer long,
yep,
it was cold.
Yep.
And it didn't get until September when the 49ers started to play that the weather got good.
I bet you're right on the nose.
Not nearly as bad now at AT&T Park, but still pretty chilly from time to time. But that wind at Candlestick, boy, that would whip around. And
that's the age, old story about when they, they gave Horace Stoneman the choice of which California city he wanted to go to, and Walter O'Malley went along with that. And the story was they set it up where they took Stoneman out to Candlestick Point right around noon one day. And even now, you go out there, and of course they've leveled Candlestick Park, but you go out there at noon and it is spectacular. There's no wind, get a lot of sunshine, beautiful. But then right around 7:30 every single night, it looked like a bear claw was coming over the top of the third base side of Candlestick Park, and the winds had already started maybe about an hour or two before that, but then came the cold and it was brutal. And Stoneman went there in the middle of the day, decided, I want to go to San Francisco. And Walter O'Malley wound up in LA. The rest is history.
Well, that ballpark, if you're a visiting player, there was no way that you could really get anything out of the clubhouse without going on the field all the way down the right field line through some doors there. That went for the Giants for a long time too. I think that they didn't have a back way to the clubhouse. Now every ballpark that's made, the clubhouse is right there for you.
3-2 on Winker. And it got so cold the bullpen actually had what looked like an enlarged old phone booth, which is where all the relievers used to sit inside. Ask Jeff Brentley about that. Came up, of course, with the Giants. Winker smokes his ball on the right, and this will drive in a run. Big night for Jesse Winker. He's been on base now 3 times, and Winker was on base 3 times last night. And he makes it a 4-2 ball game with a single to right field.
Well, he's ready for a fastball, and he gets one that comes right out over the plate, just a little notch or two above the belt, and puts a good level swing on it. Young man can hit. There's no question about that. And he's got a good eye at the plate. He has proven that already here in this first part of the season. Well, not only do you have access to the clubhouse, but you have somebody to take the dirt out of your shoes for you.
That's when you know you're a big leaguer.
Whoa.
Got people cleaning off your shoes for you. I wonder if they do that for Jim Day down there when he's walking around through some of the mud.
That's probably why Romano had to wait, because they were attending to Jim Day first.
You might be right. That's a nice play right there by Diaz, preventing Winker from advancing onto second base. Winker is not fast in any form or fashion. He does not run well at all. He has many, many strengths. Speed is not one of them.
Well, if I'm Chad Kuhl, the guy at the plate is the guy I'm going after right here. I am not putting another man on base and trying to pitch to Joey Votto. Although he seems to be staying away from Suarez with that breaking ball, missing badly both times outside.
Much was made about this wooing that went on at Great American Ballpark a number of years ago. It's tailed off here in the last couple of years. You'll hear it from time to time, but this was the birthplace of it. And I mean, they've got it going on here in the fifth inning. How about that? A 4-pitch walk in front of Votto to put 2 aboard. Three walks in the game, along with a hit batsman now for Kuhl. Votto single to left field his first time up, knocked in a run with a line drive, sac fly his last time up.
What is Ray Searage going to say to Chad Kuhl out here? I mean, can there be a more brain dead move than walking a batter on 4 pitches ahead of Joey Votto? I mean, the Reds have already, pushed another run across. Trying to get back into this ball game, and Votto is the one guy in that lineup that is capable of delivering it and really hurting you in this inning. Of course, I don't think that's probably what Searage led with.
No. All right, here comes Joey Votto. 2 on, Reds down by 2, 1 out. Strike 1. Came with a 95-mile-per-hour fastball on the inside corner. Good pitch.
Well, the tendency for a pitcher, especially a young pitcher, when you're facing a batter like Votto, is to try to add a little bit. Try to muster a little bit extra speed on the fastball, try to snap off the curve a little extra. And what happens is you bounce a curveball and you throw the fastball up and out of the zone.
changeup.
But for a guy an inning ago who looked like he had everything going his way, his mound presence you alluded to, his confidence, I mean, he doesn't look like the same guy in this inning. 3-1 to Votto, looking for something to drive and get his team closer. Started to, and it's called a strike. Big situation here for the Reds. They've had such a difficult time coming up with a big base hit, scoring runs. The Pirate bullpen's pretty good. They've proven that over the first couple of games of this series and the early part of this year. Three and two to Votto with 2 on and 1 out. Here comes a payoff pitch from Cool. Out of the mid of Diaz, and a good thing for Votto and the Reds. Coming right after him with fastballs. 2 in a row. Winker the runner at second. Suarez on at first. 1 out. Third straight 3-2 pitch. Cool to Joey Votto. Back-to-back fastballs. And another fastball inside out swing, and he just loops it into left. Winker will advance on to third. What a piece of hitting. What an at-bat for Votto.
Really an incredible piece of hitting right there. I'm not so sure that there's another player in the league that hits that pitch in that location to left field the way Votto does.
Scooter Gennett has had 9 runners on base, spanning his last 5 trips to the plate, and he's still looking to drive in a run for the first time in those at bats. He has them loaded and went too far, and that breaking ball down around his feet, strike 1. It's one thing Gennett did over and over and over and over again last night. It was just astounding last year, I mean, the number of runs that he knocked in over the course of a season, when he really did not become an everyday player until about nearly 2 months into the season, maybe a month and a half. He always got the big hit. So far tonight, a strikeout with 2 on and a line out with 1 on. And here behind 0-2. Have action in their bullpen for the first time tonight. Neverauskas, a right-hander. Fastball up and in. Out of there on strikes. 2 away in the inning.
Well, Gennett went down on fastballs his first couple of times up. That time he figured the Pirates are thinking he's going to be so anxious up there. Let's just go ahead and get the breaking stuff out. First pitch of the AB and the last pitch almost identical.
now the Reds leaning on Adam Duvall yet again. He struck out, stranding 2 in the first inning. Struck out swinging, leading off the 4th inning. That big base hit has just been eluding the Reds through the first week of this 2018 season. Can Duvall change that pattern? Fastball right down the middle. Duvall has looked at 3 fastballs in this game so far tonight that were right down the can. And then they feed him a steady diet of that, as we saw his last time off that breaking ball down and away from him.
It's about as good as it gets right there. That wasn't the slow curveball, but the harder slider, and boy, did he lay it right on the edge. So that's kind of what I meant earlier, Tom, about trying to improve on a perfect pitch. That last slider that he threw was after he threw already a perfect one. So you're either going to bounce it outside, maybe bring a run in by doing that, or you're going to hang it over the center of the plate. Why not go with a different pitch? Change Duvall's eye level. If you're 0-2, throw one up around the bill of his cap, and then come back with the slider.
Bases are loaded with 2 away. Reds down by 2. Came with another breaking ball there. This will be another visit to the mound, as Diaz wants to make sure he's on the same page as his pitcher Poole and what they want to do to try and get out of this inning where the Reds have the bases loaded. They've scored once. Winker coming up with a big base hit to drive in the run and make it a 4-2 game. He stands at third. Suarez is a runner at second base, and Votto, after the single, is over at first. One ball, 2 strikes to Adam Duvall. Back-to-back strikeouts with the bases loaded for the Pirate right-hander. He has 7 in the game. Reds get 1, trail by 2. Be there for as low as $12. For tickets, visit Reds.com. Reds will be getting in very, very late Wednesday night. That is a night game to wrap up this road trip in Philadelphia. And they'll be right back at it against the Redbirds Thursday at GABP. Come on down next weekend. 4-2 game with the Pirates in front. Cleanup hitter Bell to be followed by Dickerson and Diaz. Sal Romano gave up 2 runs in the first, 2 in the second. Allowed 2 hits but no runs in the third, coming off his first perfect inning of the night in the fourth.
And with the Reds climbing back in, scoring another run, cutting the lead now to 2, it gives you new life as a pitcher out there. You're got a little roll going with the 1-2-3 inning last time up. What this Pirate lineup does, though, it really tests right-handed starters. And we didn't really see that much with the Washington Nationals. They've got a few left-handers in there, obviously Bryce Harper being the one that you really worry about the most. But, you know, a lot of the power on this ball club and a lot of the really good hitting is left-handed. It's always nice to have a lefty in your rotation just to kind of give themselves a different look.
One ball hit off the end of the bat. It'll carry a little ways with lots of room out there for Irvin. 1 out. And the Reds catching a break tonight. The major league leader in runs batted in is Gregory Polanco. Remember the game last night, he fouled a ball off his front right foot. He stayed in the game, finished the at bat. And they had him in the lineup originally tonight, but scratched him roughly about an hour before game time. This was a foul ball last night. He was in some pain. Dickerson finally back in the batter's box, and he spent all that time to do that. 2 away in the inning.
Well, I think Romano shook off Barnard 2 or 3 times in that last pitch before he finally settled on the curveball. And when he did, Barnard did the same thing. Okay, now if you're going to throw it down in the dirt. Sal Romano's control tonight has been exceptional. He has thrown 72 pitches overall, 53 strikes, only 19 out of the zone. Now, the Pirates have chased a few. They count as strikes.
It's the first strikeout of the game for Romano with all those strikes he's been throwing. But we brought up earlier that at least so far in his young professional career, he has not been known as a strikeout pitcher. There you see much more efficient each inning as we've moved through this one so far. His spot is due up 4th. And the Reds bat in the 6th inning, but with all the bullpen they had to use last night. Of course, they had a couple of off days before they rolled into this series after the rainout Tuesday against Chicago. Ryan Price is just, I mean, he's hunting for a win here tonight, and the Reds need it in the worst sort of way.
Well, you win here tonight, it gives you an opportunity to salvage a series by splitting it with a win tomorrow.
And the only Red with a win so far this year gets the ball tomorrow. Very impressive rookie right-hander Tyler Mahle will start tomorrow. Chris mentioned earlier, Jamison Tyon, big right-hander, starts it for the Pirates. Peraza to the glove side, and it's back-to-back perfect innings for Sal Romano. He's now retired 7 straight. Reds are down by 2. They'll bat in the 6th.
Three straight games with a home run. 389 average, 7 RBIs and 18 plate appearances, and won his first career start on Sunday. He will pitch again tomorrow. Well, a lot of questions about this guy in spring training. Could he make the transition from Japanese baseball to America? Could he be a two-way player? Well, he's the first batter since Babe Ruth to hit 3 home runs between starts.
Living up to all the hype and all the building so far. 4-2 ball game. Dovydas Neverauskas, a native Lithuanian, takes over on the mound. Despite the fact that he grew up in his country, his father has spent his entire life promoting baseball to Lithuanian children and coaches a handful of national, club, and little league teams in his homeland. He is the first player to be signed directly out of the country of Lithuania after being signed by the Pirate scout Tom Randolph in 2009. The last time any player who was a native Lithuanian ever played in the major leagues, you've got to go all the way back to the Philadelphia Athletics in 1933. And that was a player whose family was Lithuanian, but who actually grew up in Boston. Nothing in 2 on Phillip Ervin. He'll be followed by Barnard and then Peraza. Reds don't have any action in their bullpen, which would lead you to believe that even if they get to Romano's spot, well, now looks like somebody's down there beginning to get loose. Ryan Price might be talking over that very topic right now with his bench coach, Jim Riggleman. Driven hard into left center field, but one down out there by Marte, 1 out. It's Kevin Quackenbush out there throwing in the Reds bullpen. Poole goes 5 innings, allows 5 hits, 2 runs earned. He struck out 7, walked 3, and hit a batter. course, right now he would be in line for the win, but a long way to go in this one. We are just in the top of the 6th inning. Nothing in 1 to Tucker Barnard. Hooked into right field. That'll go past the right fielder and all the way to the wall. And Tucker Barnhart will go in standing up. His second 2-base hit of the year.
Hit it very hard. One thing that really jumps out at you about Tucker Barnhart's swing is how level it is. I was talking to him the other day about, you know, the trend now among players that are trying to lift the baseball, to get the ball into the air, take advantage of, you know, balls that leave the ballpark when you hit them solid. And Tucker's really not one of these guys that buys into that a whole lot. I mean, he wants to hit the ball hard. Certainly doesn't want to hit ground balls. No one wants to do that. But he's not intentionally going up there with an uppercut. Take that line drive all day long.
Jose Peraza's bounced into a double play, singled sharply into right, scored an inning ago on the hit by Winker. And Jose looks at ball 1. Neverauskas did not have a good spring. Pitched in 10 ball games. He's already pitched in a couple of games so far this year. Just recently, on Wednesday, got 1 out, did allow an inherited runner to score against Minnesota. And that was in the Pirates' only loss of the season.
Well, it's been a long road for Neverauskas. I mean, once he was signed out of Lithuania, he was 17 years old. And it took him 3 years just to get out of rookie ball. He was in the Gulf Coast League down there for a while. They sent him up to the New York Penn League. After he spent some time in rookie ball again in his 3rd season as a pro. Little by little climbing the Pirates chain. I mean, really it took him, if you look at his numbers throughout the minor leagues, it took him 6 years to finally get out of A-ball. A-ball. Where did he see a lot of players come and go during those 6 years?
Oh, yeah. Jam with a pitch is Peraza, and this one is looped into left field. It's going to fall in, a base hit for Jose.
Magic wand.
Well, he's really got it working between the 3 infield hits in this series and now this one. And naturally, with runners on the corners and down 2, they're going to bat for Sal Romano.
For the Reds, number 4, Cliff Pennington. For Romano.
Romano goes 5, allows 7 hits, 4 runs, all earned. You know, he had some bad luck of his own. You go back to that Pirate 1st inning, and the Reds had the big shift on Josh Bell, and he hits a ball that otherwise would have been a routine ground ball to the shortstop for the final out of the inning. He did make an error, which hurt him in the 2nd. 2 runs scoring on a sac fly and the other on a pop-up single. Here's Cliff Pennington batting now for Romano. Reds are down 2 and knocking on the door again. They've had a pile of chances to score in this one. They had 2-1 in the 1st inning. Gennett and Duvall struck out. They had the bases loaded, 1 out an inning ago. And once again, it was Gennett and Duvall striking out. 1-2 on Pennington. Runners on the corners with 1 out here in the Cincinnati 6th inning. Pennington struck out, being used as a pinch hitter here in the game last night. He made his first start, only start of the year on Monday against Chicago. It's second in the lineup. He went over 2. He did walk twice. About how many of these situations and decisions Jim Riggleman's had to make. You talk about being able to lean on some serious experience if you're Brian Price. Riggleman, of course, coaching for a long, long time, managing for many, many, many years in the major leagues.
A dozen.
Strike 3 to Pennington, 2 outs in the inning.
Boy, rarely do you see a high breaking ball called for a strike at the very top end of the strike zone. Oscars really never pulled that ball down. That's a high strike here. And that's got to be, I think, the hardest spot for an umpire to call a strike or a ball. Because the strike zone is actually moving at the time that he has to call that high strike. The outside corner never moves. The inside corner never moves. The hollows of the knees never move. But this high strike is the halfway point between shoulders and belt when you're preparing to swing. And hitters do it in different ways.
Winker delivered the goods in the 5th inning with a run-scoring single into right field. His on-base percentage now, you see the batting average starting to creep up because he's collecting hits in this series. He has 4 of them. But that on-base percentage is up over .540 right now for Jesse Winker. They're looking for a hit to drive in another run right here and right now. Breaking ball low. And Winker takes a walk. He has been on base all 4 trips to the plate tonight. 2 walks, hit by a pitch, and an RBI single. How about that?
Well, that's what you want out of your leadoff man. Set the table. Sears with that slow walk, he's going to get out to the mound and only have about 10 seconds of conversation time left with Neverauskas.
Well, let's see if they enforce it. It's already at 12 right now. Jerry Lane's walking out. Of course, weekday mornings, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed weekdays 9:30 to noon Eastern Time, only on FS1 and streaming on Fox Sports Go.
You know, Jim Day did the On This Day in Baseball, of course, brought out the movie connection. But on this day in 1988, the connection with the Reds is that rookie third baseman Chris Sabo had a major league record with 11 assists in one game.
Wow.
Danny Jackson pitched that game, walked 7, struck out 2. It was against the Cardinals.
What year was that?
1988.
I think I did that game. I think it was my first year in the booth with Johnny Bench.
Complete game, 3-hitter. And Spuds down at third base took care of business.
They are loaded for Eugenio Suarez. Well, that 1988 season, were it not for the scoreless inning streak, the all-time record scoreless inning streak put together by Earl Hershiser, Danny Jackson, any other year, with the numbers he put up that year, wins the National League Cy Young Award.
Well, April 7th was probably his
First start of the year. He threw 136 pitches in that game. Thank you.
He was a warrior, that guy.
And I think he pitched all year long.
All year long. I think that year he threw over 250 or 270 innings that year. He had an unbelievable year. They are loaded for Suarez. And it's a base hit into left field, which will tie the game. So the big hit that's been eluding the Reds the early part of this season, starting to see some of them tonight. Votto with one, Winker with one, and now a big one by Suarez, and it's a brand new ball game.
Well, that's an attitude lifter right here. He gets a pitch that he can handle basically right down the middle. And puts a good swing on it. With a couple outs, they're going to score two easily as Barnard comes in and Peraza behind him. A little different attitude in that dugout now.
All right, let's see now if the Reds can get another big hit. And they've got their main man up there right now in Votto. And try and get their first lead of this series. Back up the middle. They'll get one, and that will be all, and that will take care of the inning. But the Reds get two in the inning and tie the game at 4. They've come all the way back from down 4-0. Friends at Klosterman Bakery, you can get half-price Reds tickets. We've got the live mascot races, face painters, jugglers, so much more going on. And in celebration of Jackie Robinson Day, kids 14 and younger, Sunday, April 15th, receive a Jackie Robinson Fathead. I bet that's cool. Thanks to Noodles and Company. Visit Reds.com for tickets. Final numbers on Romano. Cannot win it, nor can he lose it after the Reds rally with 3 runs in their last 2 at-bats to tie the game at 4. And now taking over on the mound is right-hander Kevin Quackenbush. He has been the busiest Reds pitcher so far this year.
And he was the one guy that came into spring training really with no hoopla, no
reporters following him around. He just kind of went out and did his business mainly at the back end of the ball games. But he's got a little bit of a pedigree. Spent a lot of time in the major leagues with the Padres.
First pitch swinging. First strike he saw. Second pitch of the at-bat. Ran a drive to center field. Run down short of the track. One away.
Shortstop, Jordy Mercer.
Strike one to Jordy Mercer. Reds pitching is now retired 8 in a row. Romano set down the final 7 he faced over the last 2 1/3. And Quackenbush makes it 8 in a row. But Mercer, among many hot hitters in this Pirate lineup, has 7 hits in his last 11 at bats, 2 for 2 tonight. Have action in their bullpen. Left-hander Gennett is starting to throw. Meanwhile, for the Pirates, standing on deck to bat for Neverauskas is David Freese. Well, that's Wandy Peralta, I beg your pardon, not Amir Garrett. Winker over near the stands, and a nice catch. Stayed with it. 9 straight retired by Reds pitching, and let's go straight back to Cincinnati, see what's happening around baseball with Jeff Piccoro. Pick, how are you? How about this move by Clint Hurdle? The pitcher in the opening game of this series, Stephen Brault, is being used as a pinch hitter with 2 outs and nobody on here in the 6th inning.
Of course, the pitchers union loves this move.
Puts a ball in play to the shortstop Peraza. 3 straight perfect innings by Reds pitchers. Good work by Quackenbush. Reds right back at it in a 4-4 game. CMO on Scooter Gennett. He loves having a good time and having some fun tonight with a pirate parrot. Good place to be standing right there. And Michael Feliz takes over on the mound.
He came over like a lot of these Pittsburgh Pirates players came over in a trade with the Houston Astros. The Astros the last couple of seasons appearing in 46 and 47 games each of those last 2 years. It's a high strikeout pitcher.
Feliz was not on the postseason roster last year for Houston, so he didn't have a chance to pitch in the Division Series, LCS, or the World Series. Gennett a sinking liner, and it hangs up there long enough for Dickerson to come in and get it. Right now, let's get a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming. Hard out for Scooter Gennett. Hitless game for him. In fact, he's been hitless the last 2 games after getting a hit in each of the first 5. And now Duvall in a 4-4 game here in the 7th inning has struck out 3 times tonight. Once looking, twice swinging, and is down strike 1. Peralta continuing to throw down in that Reds bullpen. The only game where really you're doing any managing whatsoever, and I know that a lot of people felt like, you know, the Reds were sort of waving the white flag last night in a 2-run game of bringing in Giovanni Gallardo. There's a liner to short for the second out. Feliz is not fooling anybody, but he has back-to-back outs, and that's all that really matters. But outside of that 1-0 game, the only win of the year so far, this is about it as far as being able to manage a real baseball game so far this young season for Brian Price.
Well, you don't really manage games in spring training, so you got to go all the way back to last year to be in a strategy type game.
Philip Irvin, the batter. Low for 3 is popped up, bounced out, and lined out. Beat on a fastball at 96 there. 1 ball and 1 strike to Irvin, making his first start here in 2018. Back with another fastball at 95, and Irvin able to foul it off, and remains 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, nobody on. 4-4 game. We're in the 7th inning. Bottom fell out of that pitch, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Feliz. We remain tied at 4. On a double by Dickerson in the opening inning against Sal Romano, but the Reds started to peck away. Starting in the 5th after missing a couple of big scoring chances, Jesse Winker, who's been on base 4 times tonight with an RBI single. And that made it a 4-2 game. And then in the 6th with 2-run single by Eugenio Suarez with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Yes, indeed. Reds looking to the heavens for a much-needed win here tonight. 4-4 as the Pirates bat last in the 7th. Couple of changes for the Reds. Billy Hamilton takes over for Phillip Ervin in center field. Hamilton will bat 9th, which means he's due up 3rd when the Reds bat in the 8th inning. And now on the mound, it's the left-hander Wandy Peralta.
You'd normally think that it could be a 2-inning stint for Peralta when you get double switched into the game. 4th game for Wandy. He was in 69 of them last year, had a great first half, kind of ran out of gas in the second half of the season.
First pitch swinging and lifting a fly ball to right is Josh Harrison. Doesn't get much better than that. 1 pitch and 1 out.
Well, there are a number of these Pirate hitters that are they're ultra aggressive, I call them anyway, at the plate. Josh Harrison's one of them. He'll swing at almost every first pitch he sees. And Starling Marte is another. Just always good to know so you just don't lollipop one in there with a get-ahead fastball.
So here is Adam Fraser starting in place of the injured Gregory Polanco. Fraser 1 of 3 had a run-scoring single in the 2nd inning. That made it a 4-0 game, and the Reds have crawled back to tie it. That is a fair ball, and now it rolls foul. Tucker was trying to pick it up before it went foul. Jerry Lane on the heels of Tucker Barnard, keeping an eye on if that ball went foul.
That ball in that spot, had he been able to pick it up fair, would have really caused some issues, I think, for the Pirates. As you see Fraser running down the line, I couldn't get a good look, but I think he was probably out of the runner's lane. You're always trying to develop a throwing lane when you're any kind of a fielder. But it's a very difficult situation right here. Now, I guess Fraser did move over into the line. He really had nothing to do with that ball being thrown past Votto. But it's always something that umpires are looking out for, certainly.
Two on Fraser. 1 out, nobody on. 4-4 affair. And action down there in the Pirate bullpen. It's George Contos. He's been their primary setup guy in front of their closer Felipe Rivero. Philadelphia Phillies a pair of touchdowns and a pair of field goals as that game mercifully for the Miami Marlins has gone to the 9th inning. Philadelphia leading 2-1. Maybe a good night's sleep for the first-year Philadelphia manager Gabe Kapler. Those have been few and far between the early part of this season, as his managing style has come under the serious microscope that is Philadelphia and the press and the fans in that town. We will see them start Monday night.
Yeah. Be a new look team really from when we've seen them last. Manager, coaching staff, just some of the changes.
Twelve in a row set down now by Reds pitching. The final batter by Romano in the third. He had perfect innings, his final two in the fourth and fifth. Quackenbush a 1-2-3-6. And now Peralta, the first two set down in the seventh. 2-0 on Marte. Comes back from 2-0 to get to 2-2. And Wandy gets him to chase that changeup down and away, and that'll end the inning. With Reds pitching real good over these last five. Can they take the lead in the eighth?
Coca-Cola. See your Reds and Cardinals April 12th through the 15th. For as low as $12 for tickets, visit Reds.com. The aforementioned Tucker Barnard will lead off here in the top of the eighth for the Reds. The Reds with a very subtle change to their uniforms. It's the batting helmet this year. They've gone 3D with the logo. This is the brainchild of Rick Stowe, executed by Phil Castellini, and it protrudes off the helmet and is a 3D logo on the batting helmets. First time we've seen that, so a little bit of a new look.
Good look. Pirates again will go to their bullpen. It's been a long, long time with the San Francisco Giants. Came over to the Pirates towards the tail end of last season is George Kontos.
Well, Kontos actually was put on waivers by the Giants last year in August. And the Pirates were looking around for just anybody who's going to help their bullpen. Give me some innings. He ended up pitching in 15 games, had an earned run average under 2. And now he's pitching in high leverage situations late in ball games. He's already picked up a save this year.
You know, it's not like Kontos was pitching poorly for the Giants. I mean, he had pitched in 50 games for him at an ERA in the 3.8. Well, he had 3 outstanding years consecutively for San Francisco. Really, his whole career with the Giants was very good once he came over in 12. Had a 2.4 ERA in 44 games. Slipped a little bit in 13, but then had 3 straight years for the Giants, where his ERA was 2.5. And a base hit by Tucker Barnard greets Kontos to start the 8th inning. He represents a go-ahead run.
Tucker's been on 3 times tonight.
Shortstop,
A walk, a double, a single, a run scored for Tucker, and here comes Peraza, who has 2 hits in the game. A line drive single to right, a bloop single to left his last time up, but that was a big hit in that game-tying 2-run 6th inning.
Be interesting to see how Brian Price plays it right here. Bunt, hit and run. You put something on in this situation.
Well, it's bunted perfectly, and they'll give the sacrifice. So you're bunting in front of Billy Hamilton now, who occupies the number 9 spot in the batting order. Peraza made that look easy.
center fielder, Billy Hamilton.
Looks like Billy's 3D logo came off the helmet. Those must be made for the Arizona climate and not the Midwest climate for this time of year.
Well, Jim Day's probably got one in his pocket. He can paste on there.
That's right.
Do a little quick repair job.
Saw Billy wear that same lining that comes up around the neck and all the way up under his lip in the game here last night when he was in the lineup the last couple of games. Big chance for the Reds here. Trying to take the lead for the first time in this series. Hamilton started 2 and laid off the breaking ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And you know what? I beg your pardon. They actually took the lead in the 2nd inning in game 1 of this series. Pirates tied it in the 3rd and then would take the lead for good in the 5th, going on to win that game 5-2. They never led last night. They did tie the game at 2 in the 3rd inning, but in the bottom of the 3rd inning, the Pirates would recapture the lead the rest of the night. Go ahead run at 2nd. Kontos, a long look in, now backs off the rubber. Has pitched in a couple of league championship series, including the one against the Reds in that 2012 5-game series. Kontos pitched in 4 of those games. Did not allow a single run, did not walk a batter. Pitched in 3 games in the LCS when they beat St. Louis, and pitched in 1 game in the World Series in the Giants' win over Detroit. Little guy's looking for a lead. Or a fireplace. Tapper back up the middle. Harrison cannot handle it. He knew he'd have to hurry, and once you reach in there once and you don't find that handle, there's no way you can reach in again and hope to throw out Hamilton. That's an infield hit. And now the go-ahead run for the Red stands 90 feet away, and Jesse Winker's coming up. Winker has had back-to-back outstanding games. He had 3 hits and an RBI last night. He's been on base 4 times tonight, scored a run, knocked in a run, walked twice, been hit by a pitch in that run-scoring single, getting the Reds on the board in the 5th. Go ahead, run at third.
Yeah, big lead for Hamilton down there. I would think that if he can get a good jump right here, he's probably going to be going.
Billy without a stolen base attempt. The Reds have just 1 stolen base so far in this season in their only attempt. Winker looks at the pitch off the outside corner, ball 1. Looped into right field, and that is a foul ball. And Winker broke his bat. Much better numbers in big situations. We've been talking about that quite a bit here over the first week of the season, especially in this series so far against the Pirates, where up until tonight it was Pittsburgh getting every big hit. But now all of a sudden the Reds starting to get a few of their own, and they're looking for another from Winker right now. Running, and a foul ball out of play. Winker behind in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Reds trying to take the lead. They're on the corners with 1 out, 4-4 game. We're in the 8th inning. And again, Winker hanging in there, fouls it off out of play.
Now this is a situation that if you're George Contos, you're looking for a ground ball, but he's not really been much of a ground ball pitcher in his career. Winker's got that right side hole open with the first baseman holding Hamilton.
Ball and 2 strikes. Hamilton has only attempted to run once during the course of this at bat, and now he's running again. And Winker takes upstairs. That'll be Hamilton's first steal of the season. So now obviously you stay out of a double play ground ball. And the Pirates naturally with the infield in now. In a 4-4 game in the 8th. Winker trying to drive that run home. It started with a Barnard single. Peraza bunted him to second base. Hamilton an infield hit. Now a stolen base. And the 2-2 coming to Winker. Started to and laid off the breaking ball. That's a pitch you see a lot of batters swing and miss. Take a look at the number of pitches that Jesse Winker has seen tonight. I mean, he has been as advertised. Many screaming for Brian Price to put Winker at the top of the batting order rather than Hamilton, who spent the last number of years primarily batting in that spot. And so far, Winker getting on base more than half his plate appearances. And a line drive, and that's just bad luck. Winker hit the ball right on the nose and right at the first baseman. Wow.
Boy, I'll tell you what, that got on top of Josh Bell immediately. A breaking ball hung right up there. I mean, with the infield pulled in, that's when the ball finds you.
All right, so now needing a 2-out hit. Suarez delivered that his last time up in the 6th inning. Had a 2-run single to tie this game where we are right now at 4. Infield naturally backs up with 2 away. Barnard the runner at 3rd. Hamilton the runner at 2nd base. Strike 1. Boy, that is tough luck right there for Winker and the Reds. That was a rocket off the left-handed batter. Nothing in 1 on Eugenio Suarez. In the air deep to left field. Going back to the wall is Dickerson, and this ball is gone, and Suarez has knocked in the last 5 Reds runs, and he's given them a 7-4 lead here in the top of the 8th inning. Second home run of this year for Eugenio Suarez. In the 6th, a 2-out 2-run single. In the 8th, a 2-out 3-run bomb.
Boy, how satisfying is this? Not only for the Reds, but not only for Suarez, but the Reds' entire dugout. Climbing back from a 4-0 hole, pitching tight as can be. The relievers, especially. And then you come right back and put a 7 spot on them, and you've got a 3-run lead.
He knew it.
Oh, yeah. I don't need a launch angle. I know that's out of here.
Right away. Well, that is major league timely clutch hitting for Eugenio Suarez, who has 3 hits in a game tonight. But I mean, you step up there down 2 in the 6th inning. You get the 2-run single to tie it. You just watch the batter in front of you hit a line drive right to the first baseman. And now you're up there with 2 on and 2 out in a tie game, and Suarez with the home run. Votto tonight, a pair of hits. He's also knocked in a run with a sacrifice fly. Contos laboring here in this inning. Kind of 3-1 on Votto. High fly ball, center field, left center field drifting is Marte, and that will end the inning. But Eugenio Suarez, a 2-out, 3-run home run. Reds are celebrating for a change with a 3-run lead.
For that game with Reds Live, presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Wandy Peralta on the hill for his second inning. Got a 3-run lead to protect right now. He is the pitcher of record. And he'll face Josh Bell to start the inning.
You know, with all of this offense, the Reds have come up with so many clutch hits and coming all the way back from a 4-0 lead. But you touched on it earlier, Chris. You really look at this Reds pitching. The Pirates have not had a base runner since the Jordy Mercer 2-out single in the 3rd inning. That put 2 on with 2 outs. Romano got the pitcher on a pop-up. Romano had perfect innings in the 4th and the 5th. Quackenbush came on, perfect 6th. Peralta, a 1-2-3 7th. So 13 in a row set down by Reds pitching, giving this offense a chance to finally wake up, which it has. The Reds not going to fool around in any form or fashion. They have their closer already. Raisel Iglesias cranking it up in the bullpen. And that's a second straight strikeout for Wandy Peralta. 1 out here in the 8th.
Well, it'll be a save situation if the score stays the same. And, you know, and we talked about that Philadelphia game, the Philadelphia Marlins game, where the Phillies have won 20-1. There was actually a save recorded in that game.
3-inning save, right?
3-inning save, and it's very appropriate because on this date, April the 7th, the first ever official save in the major leagues was pitched by Bill Singer of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
He can pitch. That guy can pitch, Bill Singer.
He finished off a game that was started by Don Drysdale, and actually it was a 3-2 victory over the Cincinnati Reds. And it was, of course, Jerome Holtzman longtime sports writer,
Chicago Tribune,
that came up with the idea of the save, and it became official that season.
Lundy's retired the first batter on strikes, and now a second on a fastball 96 mile per hour on the outside corner. Well, when this guy's healthy and used in the right situations.
Well, he's got so many weapons. I mean, he's got a fastball, as you said, that's in the high 90s. He's got a slider that drops off a table, and he has a changeup that is, it's almost like a comic book, a cartoon changeup. What I mean by that is that the difference in speed is so great that the hitters, you know, can almost swing twice and the ball's still not there.
That's why you and I talked about this last year. That's why when I look at a guy like Wandy Peralta, the first thing I think of with 3 outstanding pitches is I think starting pitcher. I mean, find me how many Reds starters in their rotation. It's a very young rotation, we know that. But find me how many guys, even in this Pirate rotation, another young rotation, that you could say have 3 quality pitches in their arsenal.
Lefties.
Yeah.
To say.
16 in a row set down by Reds pitching, 2 perfect innings for Wandy. Seven to 4. Sean Rodriguez takes over in left field, part of a double switch, as one of the real highly touted pitching prospects in this Pirates organization, who once they brought him to the major leagues, Tyler Glasnow did not throw the ball well last year for the Pirates, and he begins this season in the bullpen. 24-year-old native Californian. This guy had a couple of seasons in the minor leagues that were just ridiculous.
Yeah, and the Pirates really were befuddled as to why he couldn't translate what he was doing in AAA and take it at least to have some measure of success in the big leagues. It just didn't happen. So he's now in the bullpen to kind of get some experience. He's ironed out some of his mechanical flaws. Big, tall guy, 6 feet 8 inches tall.
I mean, you look at the last 2 years he pitched in AAA, 20 starts in 16 with a 1.8 ERA and 110 innings. And then last year, they gave him 15 starts and he had a 1.9 ERA before they brought him to the big leagues. Struck out 140 batters in Indianapolis last year in 93 innings. But he came to the big leagues and in 62 innings allowed a whopping 81 hits and walked 44 batters. That's a pile of base runners.
Well, it's the walks that get to you at the major league level because the strike zone is smaller up here than it is down in the minor leagues. Guys don't chase as many pitches off the plate. And the talent of the hitter up here is so much that, you know, in the minor leagues, you can walk the bases full, and if you're a guy with Glasnow's arm, you can strike out the side. That doesn't happen too often here. I think the other part of it is that sometimes it takes the tall pitchers a little bit longer. I mean, he's 24 years old. And, you know, he's still probably trying to feel his feet beneath him.
Scooter pops it up into short left field, and Rodriguez comes on to get it. Scooter 0 for 5 tonight. Back-to-back hitless games for the Reds second baseman.
Left fielder, Adam Duvall.
Adam Duvall is 0 for 4. All the damage has been done by the front three and the bottom three. The middle of the order, Gennett, Duvall, Irvin, are a combined 0 for 13. But at the top, Winker has been on base 4 times. Suarez, 3 hits with 5 runs batted in, has been on base 4 times. Votto, an RBI, 2 hits. Then we talked about the middle three. Bottom three, Barnard, 2 hits, 2 runs scored. Peraza, 2 hits, 2 runs scored. And even some noise in the number 9 spot. They got a sacrifice bunt out of Romano in the 5th inning, and they got a big infield hit, a stolen base, and a run scored for Billy Hamilton batting in that spot right now when they took the lead in the 3-run 8th. Duvall is gone swinging for the 4th time tonight. Talked about the Reds and how they've not done any damage in the early part of games, but take a look late in games. Reds have scored 3 runs total in the first 3 innings of games this season, and not 1 run in the first inning of a game this year. And in all fairness, most of the damage until tonight, we talked about it very briefly last night, was being done in games where they were getting blown out and they were basically facing the last guy or 2 in the Nationals bullpen or the Pirates bullpen the other night, last night. But tonight, you know, Contos is a setup guy, and they got him tonight in a 4-4 game, coming up with 3 on the home run by Suarez. Goslin, the pinch hitter, batting for the pitcher Peralta, who was perfect over 2 innings. And he's a pitcher of record right now in this game for the Redlegs. Contos, a pitcher of record for the Pirates. Iglesias will have a chance to pick up his 2nd save of the year, unless Goslin plays long ball here. Goslin draws a walk.
Catcher, Tucker Barnard.
Mentioned it's been a good night for Tucker. Iglesias ready to go. He's been throwing for quite some time. Barnhart, a walk, a double, a single in 4 trips to the plate. This should end the inning. So the Pirates will come to bat in the 9th. Rysell looking to close it out and give the Reds their 2nd win of this season. Save you 15% or more on car insurance. And buy Toyota for over 30 offers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Love the spirit of this guy. Got a little Michael Jackson going. Look at him. Hey, God bless him.
It's a lot of ways to stay warm.
Better believe it. Good for him. Look at him. Got the Michael Jackson spin move there. That's a big leaguer. Got that jersey dialed in. Those buttons might be a little sore right about now, but hey, good for him. He's having some fun tonight.
You better believe it. Reds are having some fun too. Up by 3, and they got Raisel Iglesias on the mound to pitch 1 inning. Pick up a save and nail this one down.
Raisel picked up the save, of course, the huge strikeout of Anthony Rizzo in the 1-0 win, beating Chicago on Monday afternoon at Great American Ballpark. Quiet night for Moran after a 4-hit game last night. 0 for 2 has walked and scored a run. The Pirates have not had a base runner since a 2-out single by Jordy Mercer to right field in the 3rd inning. And it's incredible because the first 3 innings of the game, the Pirates had 4 runs and 7 hits. And you're thinking, here we go again. After the 14 runs and 15 hits last night.
Oh, what a good pitch right there by Iglesias. He's gone fastball, changeup, both away, and then comes in right underneath Moran's hands. Setting up the changeup.
And served into left field a hit.
Pretty good hitting right there. Iglesias shook off Barnard. Barnard wanted to back up one fastball with another. Iglesias was thinking, up, I want the combio. It's a good pitch.
Shortstop, Jordy Mercer.
Moran keeps doing what he's doing along with that look. I mean, he's got the red beard, right? The Pirates and the swashbuckler and all that kind of thing. 4 hits last night, been on base twice tonight. All right, now you can't start to make this interesting. That ends a string of 16 in a row retired by Reds pitchers. Jordy Mercer, 2 more hits tonight. Iglesias, since taking over as closer, has been as good as anybody in the league in their fastball strike. Count on Mercer, and now taking off, and they have the runner caught in a rundown. But Clint Hurdle might choke Colin Moran. I mean, this is a 3-run game in the 9th inning, and you're down. Where in the world, who has only stolen 6 bases in his entire minor league career, is he going?
Well, Iglesias did a textbook. You step off, you turn around, you deliver the ball to the second baseman, and a toot bland right here in PNC Park.
To the count on Mercer. That's all for him, and he knew it. The second, it left Iglesias' fingertips. So the Pirates down to their final out. Oh my, do the Reds need this victory here tonight? They were down 4-0. It looked like doom and gloom after the first 2 games of this series. And then it started with a flicker and a sac fly by Joey Votto, and then Winker a big hit to knock in a run in the 5th. But at the end of that 5th inning, you had the bases loaded with 1 out. And 2 Reds struck out to end the inning, and you're thinking, well, there's another missed chance. But then Suarez with a 2-out, 2-run single in the 6th inning, and then came the 8th. 2 on and 2 outs. Suarez plays long ball, and this ought to do it. Naturally, it should be Suarez with the final assist, because he was the main man in this Reds come from behind 7-4 win here tonight. We give a lot of credit as well to the Reds pitching staff. Starting in that 3rd, not a single base runner until a leadoff single in the 9th inning. And that would mean giving credit to Romano, Quackenbush, Peralta, and Iglesias. Miller time hold true moments. We're making a plural tonight. And they would be for Eugenio Suarez. His final 2 trips to the plate tonight. He knocks in 5 runs. A 2-run single in the 6th to tie it and break